no.
You know the usual suspects, CNN, MSNBC, is setting off alarm bells for me.
This is happening against the backdrop of massive cuts across the federal government, including at the FAA. Just going to put some up on the screen. Hundreds of FAA employees have been laid off as part of Elon Musk going through all the federal agencies. And then beyond the FAA, we have 10% of the CDC workforce, 3,400 at the U.S. Forest Service, 2,200 at the Interior Department, 2,000 at the Department of Energy, 1,000 at the VA.
Let's come back to the plane crash in Toronto that happened yesterday and the fact that Democrats seem to be pointing the finger of blame at the president. I'm not quite sure how you make that connection when the crash occurred in a different country. But here's what Chuck Schumer said. He said, quote, "To those asking whether it matters that the plane's destination was in Canada, the flight took off from Minneapolis. The FAA was still responsible for inspecting the aviation equipment, and Trump just let go of FAA safety specialists." We have no idea what caused this crash. We have some video of it coming in for a hard landing, but we don't know if it was a failure of equipment or if it was weather, if it was pilot error, or if it was something else. And yet you get the minority leader in the Senate immediately pointing fingers at the president. Your response?
It's incredibly irresponsible for Chuck Schumer to say such a thing when the investigation is still underway. And as you rightfully pointed out, John, this crash unfortunately took place in Canadian airspace with Canadian air traffic controllers overseeing it. And the facts about the FAA are that no air traffic controllers have been let go by Secretary Duffy or this new administration. In fact, Secretary Duffy has put great emphasis on hiring the best and the brightest air traffic controllers who want to be part of the FAA, and President Trump signed a very strong executive order to ensure that the FAA and all federal government agencies are focused on merit and skill-based hiring. We want the best and the brightest, the most competent individuals in positions, especially of public safety at the FAA, the Department of Transportation, and all departments across this federal government so we can best serve the American people. So while Secretary Buttigieg and the Biden administration sat on their hands when it came to aviation safety for 4 years, this administration is taking it seriously and is actively recruiting the best and the brightest to join this very important field.
The source material highlights a concerted effort by Democrats and the progressive media to directly link President Trump to these incidents, framing it as a direct consequence of recent government layoffs. The claim is essentially Trump bad, layoffs bad, therefore planes falling from the sky. It's a simplistic and frankly insulting narrative. Now, let's be crystal clear. Safety is non-negotiable. No one in their right mind wants to see commercial airliners experiencing malfunctions or, God forbid, plummeting from the sky. But what we absolutely must do is critically examine the motives behind the messaging. Are Democrats and their echo chambers in the media genuinely, authentically concerned about the safety and well-being of air travelers? Or is this a coldly calculated, politically motivated attempt to tarnish the current administration's image and score cheap political points? I'm leaning heavily toward the latter. Let's dissect this narrative piece by piece. The dubious layoff argument. The linchpin of the Democratic argument is the assertion that President Trump's layoffs at the FAA are directly and demonstrably causing the uptick in reported aviation incidents. This is, at best, a tenuous connection, and at worst, a deliberate distortion of reality. The source indicates that the FAA let go of a relatively small number of probationary employees, none of whom were air traffic controllers or held critical safety-related positions. To insinuate that these entry-level departures are the primary driver of complex mechanical failures or pilot errors is not only intellectually dishonest but dangerously misleading. It's a blatant attempt to exploit public anxieties and distract from the real underlying issues that may be contributing to these incidents. Chuck Schumer's opportunistic rhetoric. We can't ignore the role of Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer in perpetuating this narrative. The source directly quotes Schumer expressing concern over the incidents while simultaneously blaming Trump's massive layoffs for making the skies less safe. This kind of knee-jerk reaction, before any thorough investigations have been conducted, smacks of political opportunism. It's a calculated move to capitalize on public fear and score points against their opposition, regardless of the factual basis. Such rhetoric only serves to further polarize the debate and undermine public trust in our institutions. Media's role in amplification and sensationalism. The source raises a crucial point about the media's role in selectively reporting on this incidents. It argues that the progressive media apparatus has only begun aggressively covering airline incidents since Trump's return to the White House, with the explicit intention of blaming him, even when there's no clear causal link. Outlets like CNN and MSNBC, which have demonstrated a clear bias in their reporting, have a fundamental responsibility to provide comprehensive context and avoid sensationalizing events. Are they offering a balanced and objective view of the CEO situation? Or are they selectively highlighting incidents to fit a predetermined narrative that aligns with their political agenda? It's absolutely essential that we analyze their coverage with a healthy dose of skepticism, questioning whether it aims to inform the public or simply inflame partisan passions. Transportation Secretary's response. The source mentions Transportation Secretary Duffy's response to Pete Buttigieg. Duffy stated that Buttigieg failed for 4 years to address the air traffic controller shortage and upgrade our outdated World War II era air traffic control system, and that the current administration has already begun that process in less than 4 weeks and is engaging the smartest minds in the entire world. It seems highly improbable that such a complex issue could be resolved so quickly. Let me lay it on the line. I'm not suggesting that there aren't legitimate concerns about aviation safety that need to be addressed. What I'm vehemently opposed to is the cynical manipulation of those concerns for partisan gain. We, as informed citizens, must demand accountability and transparency from our elected officials and the media outlets that cover them. We can't allow fear to be weaponized against us, turning us into easily manipulated pawns in their political games. Do your own research, engage in critical thinking, and refuse to blindly accept the narratives being pushed by either side of the political spectrum. So, Black Coffee fam, I'm putting it to you straight. Are the Democrats and their allies in the media shamelessly exploiting fear surrounding these airline incidents to advance their political agenda? Are they prioritizing partisan advantage over the safety and well-being of the American public? I want to hear your thoughts, your perspectives, your evidence. Drop your comments below. Let's start a real, honest, and unfiltered conversation about this issue. Thanks for tuning into the Black Coffee Podcast, where we keep it real even when it's uncomfortable. Stay woke, stay caffeinated, and stay vigilant. I'll catch you on the flip side. Peace.